Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. And I want to wish everybody a very happy and prosperous new year. And I'm sure this year there won't be too many mountains we can't climb. You know, there's a beautiful song called Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Well, maybe that's what we need to be aiming for this year. But it's a really, really interesting time of the year because astrologically things are sort of starting to gear up. And it's really predominantly at the moment a very busy time. But we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. So whatever you did for New Year's Eve, if you were like me and were, had a very quiet one because that's what you wanted, well, that's good. And if you went out and partied, that's great too. So let's kick the year off with the first Simply Tarot card of the year, which is the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups is peace of mind. Well, let's hope we've all got a bit of peace of mind now that the new year has started. It can also be the joining of two people together. Now, when we say the joining of two people together, it doesn't always necessarily mean a romantic connection. It can be just the coming together of two people that have, got a project to work on or like-minded souls or just enjoy being in each other's company. I think we put too much emphasis on when we see cards like this that it's got to be a relationship or it's got to be a love connection. Love comes in many different forms. It's not always as in a love journey of a couple becoming joining their lives together and becoming as one or living in harmony, hopefully, as a couple. It can also be two friends or two work colleagues or two acquaintances. And, we can have two people of the same sex that are not in a sexual relationship but have a very, very deep bond. So this is the card of this. It's either the peace of mind, which hopefully we're all going to get some peace of mind as we move into the new year. But more importantly, look around for that someone special that might be coming into your life that you can have a really amazing connection with that, could really be somebody that's going to be there for you in 2026. We all need to have that someone special in our lives that we can chew the fat with, talk something over and sort of work out what's going on. And sometimes that's not always our partner in life. Sometimes it's just someone else that we have a very deep soul connection with. And again, I said no romance, no sexual connotation with it. It's just a pure unadulterated friendship. And sometimes we need those in our lives as well. We have many different layers of friendships in our lives, but this is a really, really special connection. So peace of mind, joining together of two people, very, very, very beautiful card. So we're going to move on to the first astrological report for 2026. And it's a really interesting one because not a lot has changed since last year or the last report for last year. We still have a very major influence in Capricorn. Now, happy birthday to all the Capricorns. It's a very interesting and exciting time of the year. And I have lots of family and friends that are Capricorns, and they really sort of, some of them are sort of a little bit more subdued than others, and others really know how to party on. So it's sort of a wide mixed bunch with Capricorns. You never sort of know whether they're going to be the serious type, the studious type, or they're going to be the ones that want to get out there and explore the world, because they are governed by the sign, in terms of an animal, that they are a goat. And you think of goats and they can, scale great big mountains. They can do anything, they eat anything, they go anywhere. Nothing seems to be a limitation to them. And a lot of Capricorn people are the same. Nothing is a limitation to them. They just sort of see it and think, well, okay, how am I going to get over that mountain or that hurdle or whatever? And they find a way around it. They keep going until they get there. One of the first things I learned when I first learned astrology was there was little dittos or little sayings that, helped me sort of understand what I was learning. And one of them was with Capricorn, I looked at it this way. Capricorns only ever have one meal. It starts when their eyes open and it finishes when they go to bed. Because if you think of the goat constantly grazing all day, they don't necessarily stop and have a meal as such. They constantly graze wherever they are. And that's what I've always associated with Capricorns. And, I noticed many in my family, they sort of don't eat big meals, but they're constantly chewing on something. So it might be just something that you might want to take a little bit of notice of. Anyway, happy birthday to the Capricorns. Now, we have Mercury, the planet of communication, has moved out of Sagittarius and has moved into Capricorn. Now, I want to be very clear. This is sitting by itself. It's not making a conjunction or a stellium to any other planets in Capricorn. It is just sitting by itself. Now, Mercury in Capricorn reminds me of the school teacher with the red pen sort of saying, yes, tick, you got it right, or no, you didn't. It's sort of, you need to be very careful when Mercury's in Capricorn, and it doesn't matter what your star sign is, whether you're a Capricorn or whether you're an Aries or whether you're a Cancer. You need to be aware of your communication. Make sure that you're not being too critical of others, that you're not like the school teacher there with the red pen, because sometimes people need to just be able to express themselves or get out what they're trying to say, to communicate in a way that they are comfortable with, that they don't need to be pulled up or corrected, or somebody's saying, no, hang on a minute, that story is not quite correct, when somebody's, relaying a funny story or an event or something like that. Just let them go. The details aren't always the most important thing. It's the fact that they've had the opportunity to express themselves, to talk about something, or to share a funny story or an event with the people that are surrounding them. It's not about everything has to be verbatim, or we've got to mark them out of 10. Just let them go. And, if you've got serious conversations that need to be had in the family, now is the time, but make sure that you put your listening ears on as well, and you listen to the other person's point of view as well, and give them the floor. Again, don't interrupt them, don't correct them, don't sort of interject. Let them get off their chest what they need to say, and then it's your turn. And then we can have the banter or the conversation going backwards and forwards from that point. But please allow people to have the floor. This is a perfect time, in a sense, if you're looking to get a raise or sort of go in and bring up a concern at work, because your communication can be very clear, it can be very concise without a lot of emotion. You present the facts, you present it in a positive and a dynamic sort of way, and even in a very grown-up sort of way, and that's a good thing. So there's many options of why, when Mercury's in Capricorn, that how we handle this. And we need to be aware that we've got to add a little bit of softness there as well. It's not just to be coming in and being so strong and being forthright and being very earthy. Add a little bit of gentleness there as well. So still moving on with Capricorn now, what I'm going to talk about now is going to affect the earth signs the most, but it will wash over the remaining 8 signs. So the earth signs are Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, the opposite sign of Cancer. But this information will wash over the remaining 8 signs, won't be as strong, but will still be a major player in your life and will still be influencing things over the next few weeks. So you need to be very aware of what I'm going to be speaking about. So the sun's in Capricorn. That's a really nice time of the year. It's a time of the year when we all start to really sit down and look at our finances and look at how much money we spent last year, and particularly in that last quarter, as we headed towards the holiday season, and looking at now how we can sort of improve our finances or improve our bottom line in the family. For some people, it will be reorganising bills and accounts and things like that, looking for better deals or better deals with utility bills or your cell phone or, insurance or whatever the case may be. It's a time to take stock. It's sort of like give yourself time to sort of sit down and really reorganise your finances and set a budget and start sort of trying to take control of your money for 2026, so that, we all have unexpected things that come up that we're not expecting, but most of us roughly know what our bills are going to be for the next month, the next 3 months, the next 6 months. So sit down with what income you've got coming in and start to work on a budget. It's really important, more so this year than any other year, that I think we all need to be looking at our finances and looking at how we can take control of things and take a little bit of pressure off ourselves later on in the year when things do become more expensive. If you can get into a rhythm here and get into a rhythm of even saving $5 or $10 a week and putting that away towards the busy time of the year when your spending is up, you'll be surprised then you've got a little nest egg of money that you can go and splurge with, and it sort of takes the pressure off a little bit. So the sun is actually conjunct or holding hands Venus, the planet of love and affection, which is also conjunct or holding hands Mars. Now, when we have 3 planets together like this, it's called a stellium. It's something that happens from time to time in astrology. Yes, it does add more weight in as much as the 3 planets together are really very concentrated, because they're all sort of bunched up together and working together, sometimes working against each other too, but usually they're working together. And in this case, they are working together. So we've just spoken about the sun. Now, Venus is the planet of love and affection. Now, when I talk about Venus, I'm not always talking about where we're going to find a new love connection, it can be the things that we love to do. So, if you're not necessarily looking for love and you're already in a great relationship and you're a Capricorn, well, then, Venus here is saying to you, look around you and see what are the things that you love to do in your life, the things that make you smile. For some people, that might be going to the movies. For other people, it might be taking up a hobby or taking up something creative. It makes them feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. For other people, it might just be sitting down watching a movie. It's the things that you love to do that put a smile on your face. Now, this is also Venus is also conjunct or holding hands Mars in Capricorn. Now, Mars is the planet of action. Mars is the planet that gets us up off the couch, that says, come on, let's get moving, let's do something. So Mars here is asking you to make sure that you don't just sit on the couch and daydream about or fantasize what you'd like in your life, or sit down and have too many pleasures in life, watching too many movies, or not being, a little bit responsible. You've got to bring things into balance. So bringing things into balance by sort of looking at our finances and looking at where we want to go and putting some planning in place for that, looking carefully at the balance of the things that make us smile, bringing in some pleasurable things in our lives. For those that are looking for a new relationship, then maybe do something that's connected with earthy things, go to a farm show, an ag show, go to something that's, got a practical sort of application. I wouldn't necessarily be going off to the ballet looking for love. Look at something that's going to bring you the rewards of meeting somebody that best suits your needs. Join in things that you like to do. And then, by meeting somebody there, that they've got a similar interest. Now, Mars here is asking you all to sort of get up off the couch, get things moving. Let's sort of start some action. Let's get everything, get the plans in motion. Don't just sit there and think about them or talk about them. Let's sort of start something. So it's a very, very positive time for the year. It washes over, as I said, the remaining 8 signs as well. So everybody can get up off the couch. Everybody can start taking control of their finances, and everybody can start looking at things that bring pleasure and make you smile in your life as well. It's really important for all of us. Now, I want to go on to Jupiter. Now, we've been talking about Jupiter being retrograde now for a little while in Cancer. It's really become quite obvious to me with lots of clients that I work with around the world that Jupiter is really playing quite a lot of havoc at the moment with Cancerians. Now, it is affecting the other water signs, which is, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, and the opposite sign of Capricorn. So again, that Capricorn influence. Jupiter here is asking you to expand your horizons. It's asking you to get out of your comfort zone. Look at ways that you can improve your life. Now, whether that's expanding your finances, whether it's expanding opportunities in your life, or is it just getting you out of your shell a little bit and asking you to step out of your comfort zone and do something different. Now, Jupiter will be retrograde or going backwards until early March this year. So when a planet's going backwards or seemingly going backwards or retrograde, it means that it's a little bit hobbled. It means it's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's also the time when we get the greatest growth. So, particularly for Cancers here, if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling a little bit angry or a little bit stressed, ask yourself why. What is it that's making me feel that way? 9 times out of 10, it's the fear of the unknown or the fear of stepping out of your comfort zone and daring to do something different, or somebody's asked you to look at something in a different way or act in a different way, and it's like, oh, I don't know whether I can do that. Try and break that cycle and sort of say, okay, look, I'll give it a go. I'm not saying I'm going to be successful, but I'll at least give it a go. It's really interesting because Cancers don't often create their own luck. Now, they've got the opportunity here to be able to do so. So this is why I want you to understand what's going on if you're a Cancer, particularly. What's going on, what's making you angry, what's sort of, pushing your buttons a little bit at the moment, and see whether you can turn this into a positive. Then on the other side of the coin, I have other Cancerian clients that are really sort of rocking it here. They're out there, they're doing something different, they're sort of pushing themselves, they're moving out of their comfort zones, they're studying or learning new things, embracing new technologies, and really sort of going ahead in leaps and bounds. So it depends, I suppose, which side of the Cancer equation you're sitting on, but it means that you can do something. So, let's step out of that comfort zone. Now, this will wash over the remaining 8 signs besides the 4 that I spoke about, but it'll be to a lesser degree. It's sort of like we all have the opportunity to step out of our comfort zone and to sort of strike while the iron's hot. Do something different. Make 2026 your year, even if it's in a small way, even if it's a small improvement. If you've been thinking about, taking up walking, well, do it. Do it slowly. Don't sort of go out there and say, I'm going to walk 10 miles today. Do it in a small way and, gradually sort of build up. And as you start to build up, you'll find that your whole world starts to open up in other ways. Now, we've spoken about many times on the show too about Neptune and Saturn being in the final couple of degrees of Pisces, and it's been there for quite some time. Now, we're nearing the end of this, but it's also very important to know that when a planet is either just entering into a sign or just about to leave a sign, it's when the energy or the intensity of the energy really becomes at its most strong. It's stronger. It's sort of really sort of getting in there and sort of saying, this is my last hurrah. So we need to be very aware of that. So Neptune is the planet of the illusion or the delusion, but it's also the planet of creativity. I actually like working with Neptune because I look at it and I think, well, okay, what am I maybe deceiving myself or not wanting to look at, and what can I do? How can I improve this? How can I bring in some more creative energy and do something different? And that's what Neptune's asking you to do here. You've certainly, everybody's come out of the fog. So we're talking about water signs here predominantly, but it is washing over to the other 8. So we're talking about Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, and the opposite sign of Virgo. So with it still conjunct or holding hands with Saturn, the planet of discipline, Saturn's giving you the structure. Saturn's not necessarily limiting what you need to do, but Saturn's sort of saying to you here, give me the ideas, show me your creativity, show me what you want to achieve, and I'll give you the stability, the backbone, the drive to be able to achieve this. So, don't waste it. So it's a really, really positive time. It is washing over the other remaining 8 signs. So if you've got some creative ideas, now's the time to get them into some sort of solid form, to get them moving, to sort of start looking besides just it being in your head or being on paper. Let's move these opportunities along. So I hope you've enjoyed what we've done for the first astrological take for the year. We're going to talk with Tani in Sydney in Australia. Are you there, sweetie?
Yep, I'm here.
Happy New Year. How can I help you today? Do you have a question I can answer for you?
I just wanted to see what was coming up for me in the next few months, if there's anything I need to look out for.
All right, we can look at that for you. It's really, really sort of interesting because what I'm picking up around you is a stop-start sort of energy. And I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm saying, you get great gusto and you get going with things, and then all of a sudden it comes to a standstill or it comes to a stop. Now, that may be designed by fate to sort of say, okay, we put so much energy in and then we've got to stop and we've got to regroup and we've got to look at, okay, what's the next step? Do I need to deviate? Do I need to go in a different direction, or do I keep ploughing straight ahead? So don't look at this as being a negative. Look at this as being a positive. You're a very strong young lady and you know exactly what you're hoping to achieve this year. And I want you to be sort of keep your eye on that. Don't let people talk you out of something because it seems a bit far-fetched or it seems a bit stupid, or that isn't how they look at it. If it's your decision and it's your life and it's your choices, then it's up to you to sort of say, well, thanks very much, I appreciate your input, and then just go about and do what you need to do for you too. It's a time where there's a lot can be achieved in this first 3 months of this year. I feel the last 6 months of last year were sort of like, was almost as if I came to a standstill. It was like I was looking at things and thinking, well, I don't want that and I don't want this anymore and that doesn't suit me. And it was like you had to sort of prune the tree at the roots to get ready for the newness. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and it's good because you worked through it to me in a way that it was very natural, like you didn't fight it, you just went with it. If today you felt positive, you went with that. If tomorrow you felt like sitting on the couch, you did that. Like you listened to what was going on around you and the triggers from the universe and your own body, and that's a good thing. So from about March onwards, I think things are going to start to get really busy again. So I think in this first 3 months of this year, do what you have to do, but also be aware of it may not be the time to start something new. It might be the time where we put it into the planning stages. Were you looking for another job? Because they keep showing me a question mark around work.
Yes, there's a job that I'm meant to be starting at the end of this month.
Right, okay. So that's good. So I suppose you feel excited about it, but also probably a little bit of nerves as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is this something that you've worked long and hard to get to this point? Because that's what I felt. It's like, oh, finally I'm here, and it's like, yeah, okay, right now I've got to muster the energy to keep going.
Yep. Very true.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's okay. So, like if you're not starting till the end of the month, then give yourself the luxury of a little bit of downtime. Go to the beach, do something for you, whatever makes your heart sing. Make sure you squeeze a few of those moments in, because let me assure you, once this job starts, I think it is going to be sort of full on, and it's going to take you in directions that I think that you can't even begin to imagine yet. I'm talking about in positive ways. This to me is just the
Hmm.
beginning point. It's like I've started a brand new career, and the world's my oyster is what they're showing me here. So it's good. So the other thing that I
Oh,
was
great.
seeing too was there was possibly or potentially a move around the middle of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's sort of to me it wasn't urgent. It was like they just flashed it in front of me and said, "Well, don't forget to tell her about the move." You know what I mean? Like it was if was an off the cuff sort of thing. It was like, yeah, 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 I know that's there, but I'm not up to that bit yet. But this is going to be a really important year. Make sure that you look after yourself, and by that I mean, listen to what your body needs. If it's tired, rest. If it wants water, have it. If it wants chocolate, have it. You know what I mean? Like listen to it, because you're
Yep.
very in tune with yourself, and you need to be sort of taking those cues. Not always is a food bad for us. If our body's craving it, then there's something in there that it needs, but only have sufficient to when it says that's enough. You don't, because your body says I want chocolate, doesn't mean you've got to eat the whole chocolate. Yeah, you have some pieces until it's satisfied, and then you move on. I mean, I know that's
Yeah.
hard, but do you know what I mean? It's like I really want you to listen to that, because your body's going to demand different things at different times, because of it's using different energy. I know that sounds strange, but different energy to cope with different things, and it's going to require different minerals or whatever to get through that part, and then it's sort of like we're on to the next bit. But look, I think you're going to have a fantastic year. So it's been lovely to talk to you, and Happy New Year, and
Oh,
enjoy
great.
Sydney. We're going to talk with Kelly now in Duck Mountain in Manabotto in Canada. Are you there, Kelly?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hello, Kelly. I'm good, thank you, sweetie. How can I
Hi.
help you
Yes.
today? Do you have a question for me?
Um, just basically the usual. How this year is going to pan out for myself and my family.
Okay. All right. We only have a limited time, so I'll focus on you, not so much the family. It's really sort of interesting, Kelly, because the first thing that they were sort of sharing with me is I want to tell you to sit down. So maybe then what they're sharing with me from the other side is that last year was incredibly busy, and you need to sort of let everything catch up. Is that how last year was, that you sort of felt a bit tired at the end of the year?
Yeah, I was extremely tired at the end of this past year.
Yeah, but they're saying to me that you've got to learn to sit down. Like tell her to sit down and have a rest, because she needs to regroup and gather all her energy back again, because this is going to be a busy year. But they want it to be a busy year in a positive way for you, that that you've got the energy to get through it. I know I said I was only going to focus on you and not the family so much, but what they're sharing with me is with the family is leave them to their own devices. Like, they're big enough to deal with their stuff. This year's got to be about Kelly. It's about bringing the focus back to Kelly and what Kelly needs and what Kelly needs to do. And then if there's any energy or any time left over, then you can share it with everyone else. Does that make sense to you?
It kind of does, yes. So basically, try and focus more on me than putting all my energy
Yes.
outwards towards my family, and yeah.
Yeah, and it's not saying that you're neglecting them. It's just saying that you've got to be number one in the queue. And when everything's met for you and your needs have been met, and you've got a little bit of time left over, a little bit of energy, then you can go and look at sharing or helping someone else, because it's not being selfish, sweetie. It's learning to sort of work within what tools we've got in our toolkit. And you ran yourself ragged last year trying to help everybody else, that you came a poor last, and the things that you needed to have attention for Kelly didn't really get the attention or the focus or the the input that they should have. So we've got to reverse that this year. They're showing me around April that there's a real sort of turning point. Is there something that you've been working towards that should sort of come to a conclusion, or, we get the result we're looking for in April?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping, like financially, I'll be more stable then and be able to get a hold
Okay.
on everything that's.
Yeah, but you've been working towards this. It wasn't something that, just magically drops in with a balloon in April. It's sort of like you've been working really strongly towards this. And I felt very excited about that, because it's sort of like after that, it's like I can exhale, I can breathe a sigh of relief. And then it's sort of like, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easier than it has been, because you've put in the sort of the hard yards. The other thing that they were sort of showing me is that sometimes you allow the people that are closest to you to get away with things that they shouldn't. That's got to be something that you've got to be very aware of this year. If people do things that you're not happy with, you've got to tell them. Don't just suffer in silence, so to speak. It's important that people understand what your parameters are, what your boundaries are, and that they've got to meet those as well. It's not just about them. So why would they keep showing me a big pink heart? Are you looking for love, or is the current relationship sort of rekindling itself, building back up again?
Personally, I feel the relationship is dwindling.
Right. Okay. Well,
So
the reason why they keep showing me this big pink heart is that I've only got a very short time, sweetie, is that maybe he's going to try and turn around and try and rekindle the relationship. Of course, it's up to you whether that's what you want, but they're showing me whichever way you go, you will have love in your life. So that's the most important thing. Unfortunately, Kelly, that's where I've got to leave it. We've come to the end of the show, and I wish you very well. You're going to do well this year. So just, put yourself first, sweetie, is the most important thing. So it's really interesting as we kick off the new year that we have different ideas of how we think the new year is going to unfold and the things that are important to us, and that we all need to sort of probably be putting ourselves first a little bit more than we did maybe last year. I'm not into the Chinese astrology, so I'm only into mainstream astrology, but I just know that this year is about really sort of focusing on ourselves first and what we need to be doing. And I feel it's sometimes hard for people to stand up and sort of say, this is what I need to do, this is for me. So this week I've picked a song that I think really says it all, and it's by one of the most prolific songwriters in the world. And he is getting on a little bit now, and I have been fortunate enough to see him a couple of times on stage, and he's absolutely amazing, sensational entertainer. Just gets out there, sings and says, I don't know why all you people came, and I haven't been here for 20 odd years. But it's Neil Diamond, and the song is I Am I Said, and I think that says it all. We need to all stand up and say what we mean this year. So I Am I Said. Until next week, enjoy Neil Diamond. Bye for now.